Hi everyone, I'm Naman Gupta, and today we have Mr. Raj Kapoor with us. And welcome, Mr. Raj, on zbyte Presents Take on Web3. So glad that you are here. You are the founder of India Blockchain Alliance, right? And you meet a lot of developers every day, right? What do you think, Raj, is the biggest challenge for a lot of developers who want to enter into Web3, but for some reason or the other, they are not able to enter?
One is either lack of awareness of what are the resources available for them. Second, too many resources, and that confuses them. So there are two sides of a coin which you really have to weigh. Basically, most developers are very confused. Now, I meet a lot of them. A lot of them say, okay, I know blockchain. But when you really test them on their skills, not really up there. Basically, a little course here, there, somebody's done. And also, the people who are curating the courses and the programs, most of them are just doing it for the money or a transaction.
Mm,
It's not really education. It's either a copy paste
mm,
of something else or simply something hastily put together and sounds good. Oh, learn
correct.
Solidity in 2 months. Listen, guys, if you could learn Solidity in 2 months, everybody become a millionaire. India will never have an unemployment problem. 2 hours, you're
Mm,
done. It is going to become a 5 trillion economy next year. Then it won't happen like that. It takes a lot of understanding, and I think developers are confused a lot sometimes. I think a proper guidance, if you share with them, they are
yeah,
talented. Our developers are very talented. We need to guide them
yeah.
in the right direction and harness their talent. That's what we are not doing, and they don't have great mentors. Another
Mm.
problem with them, they don't have great mentors because in India, nobody wants to share their knowledge. That's wrong. We should share knowledge. We're talking about a disintermediated, distributed
Mhm.
technology. So why not knowledge? Knowledge also should be disintermediated and distributed. So that's my take on.
Absolutely. Yeah. So one more interesting insight that I've got from one of the developer I met recently, right? He said that it's not that developers are the culprit, right? The system is the culprit in terms of with every other layer one or any other new blockchain, they come up with their own sort of system. They come with their own sort of rules and everything, right? So how one developer should cope up with the technology that is evolving every other day, right? So how we can make it more not just accessible but also structured. What is your thoughts in terms of being industry leader yourself?
Yeah. See, I'll tell you what. They're absolutely right. It's a whole chaotic situation out there. Every day a new chain. Every day somebody saying we are better than the other. Listen, stick to the fundamentals. I always say that because
Yeah.
every other chain is based on the previous ones. Okay, so let's take maybe an Ethereum. That could be a benchmark. Learn Ethereum, you will learn everything else. Everything else is just a minor iteration of Ethereum. You may have different consensus mechanisms. Everybody talks about all sorts of mechanisms. Bottom line is the same. There is a
Yeah.
consensus mechanism that they know, how it works that they know. That's all you really need to. Don't overthink. Most developers tend to overthink. Oh, will I be able to handle these chains? Will I be able to work on these chains? I have never learned
Mm.
this. Listen, guys, it's just like ABC. We learn the ABC, then start forming the words, and then we start forming sentences, and then we start writing paragraphs. So the
Yeah.
ABC boils down to take anything, not just Ethereum, take any one popular blockchain which has actually proven that it
Mm.
works. Because there are many which are going to fall by the wayside. They're all not going to survive. We talk
Yeah.
and learn on layer one, don't learn on layer two. Go and learn on
Mm.
layer one. That's where I would say. And also now start thinking layer zero. That's
Yeah.
where the things are going to happen in the future. So learn on layer one. At the same time, do as much study on layer zero as you can. That's going to disrupt a lot of
Mm.
things in the future. So don't get too confused.
Good.
Learn your alphabets well. You'll know how to make your paragraphs very soon.
Yeah, and one more interesting insight that we keep hearing in this Web3 ecosystem, right? So they themselves are not so optimistic. What do you think is the challenge apart from the languages, apart from the technical complexities, or apart from the right use case, probably, right? They are like, hey, we understood what is that. We understood how the technology really, help a lot of people, but they themselves are not able to think, right? You also agree that whenever uh, whenever a new innovation or sort of a creativity evolves, it's always the first idea and it's always a community drive that sort of drives that innovation and creativity, right?
I
If
agree.
they're not able to think through how we can catalyze that or evangelize that, you're doing that already at scale, right? So what trend that you have observed to make them think creatively in terms of tap ideas?
See, first of all, to understand that, first of all, let's understand that Web3 is a big myth right now. I'm an evangelist of Web3, but for most people, it's a myth. Okay, nobody knows why the hell it's called Web3 in the first place. Even if you
Yeah.
ask most of the developers to what is the Web3 tech stack, they'll hardly be able to answer it. One of the things which we really need to know is what are the basic problems with Web3 as of today.
Mm.
Every technology, anything new has its challenges. Web3's got its own. First of all, you're suddenly moving from a centralized to a decentralized systems. Okay, and that most Web3 protocols, if you know, they're very evolve very slowly, and they rely on centralized platforms. That is a problem which people can't figure out. If they're relying on centralized platforms, how do you
Mm.
iterate on the new functionality? How is it going to work? So that's one of the problems they face. Of course, there is a mitigation for everything, but I'll tell you the problems first. The
Mm.
second, you rightly said, there has to be some real good use case in the beginning that sets the
Yeah.
ball rolling. That's missing. Scalability is another major issue.
Mm.
Scalability, one of the biggest issues facing Web3. See, the decentralized nature of Web3, which we know, relies on a whole
Mm.
bunch of nodes to validate transactions. This can
Yes.
make it difficult to scale. So this is
Mm.
another one. Do I get into Web3? Will it get me an ROI? Am I making something good for the future? Then comes the interoperability, which is also an issue. One
Mm.
blockchain to communicate with another. Everybody may say, "Oh, yes, there are good bridges, etc., etc." But frankly speaking, that's still an issue. There are hundreds of blockchains,
Mm.
but one blockchain assets cannot be utilized on another because of the interoperability problem, and that is another problem which is affecting Web3 right now. For the next one, I would say is development. The development, the number of blockchains, various purpose, as you said earlier, also so many of them coming
Yep.
up creates a
Yep.
problem for developers. They need specific skill sets related to
Mm.
that particular blockchain they're building on, right?
Mm.
So that's again, how many blockchains are there? Thousands. How the hell are you going to sit down and do that? That's another problem. And
Mm.
finally, I think another accessibility is another one.
Yes.
I have seen Web3 projects struggle
Mm-hmm.
because of trade-offs between security, decentralization, and convenience.
Mm.
First, this is the problem. Now, I would say if I have to approach and say, well, listen,
Mm.
how do we solve this problem? The problems are there. We all have problems in everything. This has also got
Of
a problem. The
course.
technology has a problem. So
Yeah.
let's take a step backwards. Whether we call it Web 2.5 or we call it the current Web 3,
Yes.
this is going to be the way to learn and going forward.
Mm.
Because one of the biggest problems, pardon my cough a little bit, like I've been speaking for the last 15 days. So,
Please, 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 please.
yeah. So, see, one of the thing is providing Web3 asset experience on scalable Web2 infrastructure is really important,
Yeah.
given that it's very slow and expensive nature of present day blockchain scaling.
Mm.
Therefore, Web3 is still being explored. A lot of people are talking about it. I still feel most people really don't know Web3. But
Mm.
Web 2.5, whether we call it Web 2.5 or any other name you want to keep it, those
Yes.
models should be leveraged to use the Web2 infrastructure
Mm.
in combination with blockchain to give a degree of decentralization. You have to
Mm.
start slow, start with baby steps. Don't jump from
Mm.
2 to 3. It's going to be almost impossible.
Mm.
You leverage the Web2 infrastructure because that's a mature model. Web3
Yes.
infrastructure is lacking. If you must have heard of this play to earn game, CryptoKitties. One of the first
Yes.
apps that try to keep certain portions centralized, such as the breeding logic and all those things. It was
Yeah.
not public.
Correct.
Gamers he showed apprehension to the move, but it hasn't
Mm.
stopped them from spending money to purchase catch spread by that logic. Even Gods Unchained, if you see, is another such
Yes.
example. So if you go slow and steady, that is going to be another one. Now, another thing which we should do, we should foster the adoption of people who are not crypto natives and
Yes.
increase Web3 awareness. Because unless you have those guys in the game, it's just going to be a playground for a very select few. You have
Yes.
to increase the playground size. You have to
Yes.
make it from a little garden to a football field. That's what you got to
Mm.
make.
Mm.
Web 2 2.5 or whatever, again, what you want to call it, can serve as a great model to educate and
Yes.
onboard non-crypto or Web2 savvy guys to adopt
Mm.
Web3. So it's basically like putting the side wheels on your cycle, on a
Mm.
bicycle.
Yeah.
Once you are a little comfortable, you can get rid of them. But till then, you need them in the beginning. That's the same space Web2 and Web3 are now struggling with. I can't ride a
Yes.
cycle without the confidence of having my side wheels right now. I need the side wheels. That's another problem. That's another thing which we can solve by. Even
Yes.
see, Web 2.5 models allow users, basically all of us, to swap Web3 assets utilizing Web2 infra, like
Mm.
credit cards and fiat currency. So it's
Yes.
not alien to them. They are used to these things. And
Mm.
once they are, okay, I'm not bad with this, maybe then I can use something else. Maybe tomorrow CBDC I can use, maybe NFT I can use, maybe crypto I can use, maybe I'll open a
Mm.
wallet. That's simple. Opening your email ID. That
Mm.
is another thing. Because one of the biggest problems in life is people don't like to change.
Mm.
I'm wearing my watch right here on my left hand. It
Mm.
tells me the time is 5:10 p.m. If I
Mm.
just tell everybody, just take out his watch and wear it in your right hand, well, they might wear it, but they wonder why
Yeah.
am I asking to do it?
Yeah.
Very, nothing. Why you ask me to change? I said, time won't change. But the very fact that you're changing a small thing, like a watch from
Yes.
left to right, that causes discomfort because it takes you out of your comfort zone. So
Yes.
Web3 right now is taking a lot of people out of comfort zone. Let's step it back a little bit, bring in
Mm.
2.5, and let them walk gently towards Web 3.0 because there'll be more adoption then. So
Correct.
basically, that's how we're bridging the gap. The gap has to be bridged.
Mm.
Centralized exchanges, market front end markets, custodian wallets, and more
Mm.
bridges that bridge that. This is all going to bridge the infrastructure.
Mm.
These solutions like centralized exchanges, etc., they should allow the growth of Web 2.5 and therefore 3.0. A
Of course.
combination of all these things is going to be needed, guys. Otherwise, Web
Definitely.
3 is fit for most.
Yes, no, it definitely it will take some time, even for the developers to understand that, crypto is one part, and of course Web3 and blockchain technology as, one part, and it will definitely coexist, and how they can really leverage the true, worth of the technology. That of course the time will also tell, and they need to understand that a lot of time they run behind the sort of the speculation part, or maybe
Mm.
few things that are not so noteworthy, but they are just running because the entire world is running, and that's why they
Absolutely.
get confused. So a proper structured thing is definitely is needed. And when we are as part of this bigger and larger ecosystem layer, definitely few technologies that can even support the Web3, which is like one of them is the low code, right? So
Yes.
what is your views on that? Do you think that low code as a technology could really help bring all these Web2 curious Web3 developers, and also the 2.5 sort of Web 2.5
Yeah.
sort of developers, to
Actually, if
bring
you
to
look,
them to Web3?
yeah,
Yeah.
if you look at low code is another nice way of putting it as a 2.5 because it
Yeah.
makes it easier. It makes it easier. And whatever makes things easier is what you and I want. And a developer or anybody else. Life is got to be made really easy. I can put
Mm.
this in a microwave and heat it. That's easy. I don't have to keep on boiling it again and again and switch on the gas, etc. Put in the
Yeah.
microwave, it's done. So I think a low code, no code is going to be a great way to get this stepping stone. That's going to be the big bridge. I think so.
Mm.
Also, you mentioned about speculation and crypto, etc. I think don't I can tell developers one thing: don't run after the speculation, run behind the revolution. Web
Mm.
3 is a revolution. It's the
Mm.
next iteration of the web. We are actually living in the midst of history.
Yep.
If you look at the graph in the future, another 15 years from now, you and I will say, well, we were part of where things started,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
But we should not be where it ended.
Yep.
We should be the ones catalyzing the growth from 2 to 2.5 to 3. And low
Yep.
code platforms are a great solution, whether it's low code NFTs, whether it's low code blockchain, whether it's
Mm.
low code Web3 infra. Infra
Mm.
needs Web3 infra is not there. It's broken. It's
Mm.
right now not there. We need to bring it in together slowly and steadily. And
Mm.
of course, good platforms which are attempting to do that, they are going to be the success stories of the future. I'd rather go to somewhere and say, okay, I can get everything. It's like, I get Chinese, I get Mughlai, I get Continental all under the same restaurant. I don't
Mm.
have to go to three specialty restaurants because I don't know what I feel like eating right now. So that's exactly how low code platforms work. One stop shop, more or less, for everything. So that's
Correct.
going to be a good catalyst for Web 3.0, in my opinion.
Correct. And on the same time, we speak to a lot of developers who are building like, dApps, of course, low code on, like say zbyte, right? And sometimes the question and the suggestion also on the same time that I usually hear is that, hey, I've got an idea and I've got now tools as well in place. Of course, it may take some time for, that particular dev to figure out how to use and,
Right.
all these piecemeal elements and to bring and pull off everything together and like say build a low code app. But on the same time, what do you think as a trend that is going that whomsoever? So, like we are the early adopter of the blockchain technology, right? We are building stuff. We are evangelizing the entire community as a whole. But there are also developers who also be called as early adopter of the blockchain technology, right? They are the ones who are actually brave enough to not going with whatever their peers or their friends are actually going forward, like say, be it any other domain, but they are also the early adopter. Do you
Right.
think it's like a bit of a turn off for a few developers who want to build apps? They are building also, but there's no audience or like since you mentioned the scalability part as well, right? There are no enterprise
Yes.
or even the MSMEs who are actually helping them to adopt that particular tab that they have built and scale it, be it like an NFT for like a small coffee shop in a local area on in any particular city on any part of the world, right? What is your thought in sort of for these particular developer who are taking chances but not able to scale with their particular tab?
I'll tell you what happens. What is the one of the biggest imbroglios or the confusions right now with developers is they have great ideas.
Hmm.
They come up with great ideas, great solutions because they are tech savvy. They have taken that risk, and they are actually, as I say, they're flying where only eagles dare.
Hmm.
I always have believed that Web3 is where eagles dare. The other guys are in the comfort zone anyway. These guys have already
Yeah.
changed their watch from the left hand to the right hand. They have
Yeah.
stepped out of the zone. Okay. Now, one problem they face, and I always see that, and I'm an advisor to more than 50, 60 companies globally. And the
Hmm.
biggest problem all of them have is this. A, guidance is missing. That's one.
Hmm.
Second, they are not necessarily good marketing or the perception is that, oh, we made a great product, it should sell. It doesn't
Hmm.
happen that way. It
Hmm.
takes two to tango, as we say. So it's a yin and a yang. So you got a great product, you also need to have a team which can
Hmm.
also take it and evangelize the product. At the end of the day, everything is marketing.
Hmm.
Product, you're going to have the best of the products lying on your shelf. You don't market it well. So developers who are actually moved out of their comfort zone either need to buffer their marketing skills or
Yes.
partner with guys who know marketing skills or work with guys who know the markets
Hmm.
because the markets are not just plain simple vanilla. You
Hmm.
have different types of markets. You can integrate, you can work on existing products and say, listen, guys, see, this is great. Why don't you try it out? I'll do it for you. We'll make it a part of it. Now, for example, I do a lot of work with youngsters. I help
Hmm.
them integrate their products and their apps with existing projects.
Got it.
That gives them scale very rapidly. And then,
Okay,
of
so you
course,
mean to say they have the Web2 products and then you help them and you ask them to integrate the blockchain part into it and
yes,
then scale it.
and
Okay.
then take it up because it's easier adoption and people have already got they've already got so n number of users. It becomes automatically your way up. You can keep on refining and then finding your path as you go
Hmm.
forward, and you can also pivot when you have to. You'll also
Yes.
get to know consumer feedback, and that's how you need to. And
Yes.
you'll make mistakes. We'll all make mistakes, but good
Hmm.
thing is they've already done one thing. They have taken that step forward and becoming Web3 enabled. So if they're Web3
Hmm.
enabled, they are more enabled than others because they have that extra layer of skill which the others still have not reached. So never stop taking risks,
Hmm.
but always calculated risk and never feel that I know everything. None of us know everything.
Hmm.
That's another thing developers should have. Keep your ego to one side, but work with people who actually supplement and complement your skills. That becomes a good combination. Integrated
Absolutely. No, I
projects most
totally
important.
agree. Absolutely. And I think it may take some time, but when the technology is really revolutionizing the world, it will happen, sooner or later, right? That's what,
Yeah, it takes
uh,
time.
yeah,
Who used 10 years back, 12 years back, who used to use Google Pay?
of course. Of course. Yeah.
Today,
Yeah.
everybody uses it. We are at that stage of where Google Pay was 10, 12 years back, right?
Absolutely.
Everything takes time. In technology, 10 years is nothing. If it's a little blip
Nothing.
on the chart, that's it.
Yes, and definitely, yeah. I'm sure that the insights that we discussed today will definitely help a lot of developers who are sort of watching this, who are into Web3 or who are curious to Web3, who want to get into Web3. There are certain things that you need to just understand. That of course, don't speculate, don't run up behind anything just about the crypto thing. You need to understand the fundamental and the value that these layers are also providing. You need to have like a structured sort of way out for your Web3 journey, and it's a journey. It's not a destination that you just want to reach in sort of one day. So these are the pointers I think that will really help the developers.
I'll add
Yeah,
two more points to that.
yeah, sure.
Web3 to look for infrastructure solutions. That's
Hmm.
going to, if you have infrastructure, you be the UPI of everything. That's where you need to
Yes.
be. And find the security solutions because the security vulnerability is very high in Web3.
Hmm.
These two are going to be the immediate requirements. And that's another thing. You need to get into this space, guys. Most of the developers who get into this space, apart from what you've summarized, I would add these two also to the portfolio.
Yes. Absolutely. And developers, if you have any other thoughts as well, if you have any other questions, please feel free to sort of write us and drop down in the comments, and of course we will sort of help you guys to sort of give like a direction in the best possible way we can. So yeah, thank you so
Sure, you
much.
guys will. And I'm parting line from all the developers who are listening in, make real world solutions that solve real world problems. Don't start thinking in facts and in fiction and fantasy. Real world
Yes,
solutions always last. Fantasy and fiction gets over fast.
thank you so much, Raj. Thank you, and lovely having you on Take on Web3 from zbyte. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Cheers. Have a nice day, all of you guys. Take care.
Thank you.